This is the pre-quiz for 8.3 and 8.4, which involves factoring and also the factoring by the method of slide and glide. So the questions that start with x squared or d squared, if we choose different letters, these are the ones where we're always going to start by putting x and x, because x times x gives us x squared. Also, for these ones with three terms that start with x squared, that's pretty much going to be our starter for all these questions. It's going to be two sets of parentheses, and it's going to be two binomials multiplied together. Now, to figure out what the numbers are that are going to go here and here, we have to look at this last number. So it's two numbers that times together to make 30, but they have to add together to make this middle number, which is 11. So you could try 2 and 15, that times to make 30, but 2 add 15 is 17. You might see 3 and 10, but that adds to make 13. And then you might try 4, well 4s don't go into 30. 5s do though, it goes in 6 times. And 5 add 6 is indeed 11. So that's our two numbers. Now this plus here actually tells us two things. Not only did it tell us we were going to add the two numbers together to make 11, it also tells you that the signs are the same when I put them here. And in fact, if they are the same, if you look here, it will actually tell you what goes here. So they're both pluses. Now the reason they're both pluses is if you do positive 5 plus 6, you get positive 11. If I was to put negative 5 and negative 6, I would get negative 11, so that wouldn't work. Or if I was to try one of each, that also wouldn't work. 5 take away 6 doesn't give me 11. Even bigger problem, 5 times negative 6 doesn't give me positive 30 either. So this sign is very important when we're filling these questions in. Now on the next one, I can once again fill in x and x. This time it's got a times to make 24, but this time it's got to add to make 14. Now I know 2 is going to 24 because it's even, so 2 and 12. Luckily for me, 2 and 12 is 14. So this time the first thing that I tried actually worked. Now as it's a plus again, that tells me the signs are the same, but this time they're both negative. So I can go ahead and fill that in. If we check that, negative 2 take away 12, I do indeed get negative 14, which is what I'm looking for on this question. Now the next two, rather than having pluses at the end, they have negatives on the end, and there's two big changes with that. First, we're going to times to make 11, but this time we're going to subtract to make the middle number, so we're going to make 10. Now 11 is a prime number, so the only numbers that times to make 11 are 11 and 1. Luckily for us, 11 take away 1 is 10, so I can go and fill that in. Now on the other question when we had plus, that told us the signs are the same, so the negative must tell us the opposite of that, so they're not the same, they're actually different for this. Now we can just go ahead and guess and put one of each in, and I'm deliberately going to put the wrong one down first. And this is how you check. Do positive 11, take away 1. That gives you positive 10, but my question says negative 10. So obviously I must have had it the wrong way round. So switch it over. Now if you do guess correctly, negative 11 plus 1 is negative 10, you'll know because you'll actually get the middle number that you're supposed to. Now for this one, I would recommend probably adding an extra thing on this question. Notice the middle terms all have a number here. This one doesn't, so we might want to remember that that just means 1. And that might help us when we come to fill in this question. So, I'm going to put d and d this time, rather than x and x, because it's d squared. Two numbers at times to make 90, and subtract to make 1. Now, I can see they're in the 2 times table. The fact it ends in a 0 tells me it's also the 10 times table. So, 9 times 10. Sure enough, 10 take away 9 does give us that 1. So, let's fill in 10 and 9. Now I know it says negative 1 rather than 1, and that's the part we're going to try and work now. So I know the signs are going to be different again. So make a guess which way around you think it is, and then check to see if you're right. So positive 10 take away 9, is that negative 1? No, it's not. So switch it over and now try it. Negative 10 plus 9, does that give you negative 1? And yes, it does. So that would be our answer for this question. Now, when we're factoring these ones, these are worth more points because we have to do the method of slide and glide. Now, the reason I know I'm going to do slide and glide here is these leading coefficients aren't 1 anymore. Where we had x squared before, now we have like 3x squared, or 4x squared, or 7x squared. The fact it's a different letter shouldn't worry us at all. We're just going to fill in that letter instead of x. So, using slide and glide, what we're going to do is we're going to take the number at the start, and we're going to multiply it with the number at the end. And then we're going to factor this. So 2 numbers at times to make 9 and add to make 10. Hopefully you'll figure out pretty quickly. That's going to be 9 and 1. Now it says both signs are the same and they're both subtract. So I better put them as both being subtract. Now, it looks like we factored, we haven't because we used slide and glide. So when we do slide and glide, we multiply by 3 at the start of the question. So you have to remember to divide by 3 at the end of the question. Now we also have to simplify if we can. So 9 over 3 is 3. 1 over 3 doesn't simplify at all. So any numbers that are left on the bottom of the fraction glide up to the front of the question. And you can check using FOIL if you like, but that is indeed that term that you see there at the start. This one we're going to multiply by 4, so we've got r squared minus, that's supposed to be the same letter, minus 4r, 15 times 4 is 60, and then we've got to find two numbers that times together to make 60, and subtract to make 4. Once again, it ends in 0, so 10 is always a good one to try. 6 times 10 is 60, 10 take away 6 does give us 4. So now I can fill in r and 10, r and 6. This time I've got to subtract to get negative 4. So negative 10 plus 6 will give us negative 4, because I knew the signs were going to be different this time. And then once again, remember you haven't finished yet, you've got to go back and divide by the number we had at the start of the question, the one that we multiplied by. Now 10 over 4 simplifies to 5 over 2, and 6 over 4 simplifies to 3 over 2. If you divide top and bottom by 2. Any numbers left on the bottom of the fraction glide to the front of the question. So the 2 on the bottom here, and the 2 on the bottom here, both move up to the top. And once again, you can check using FOIL to make sure that that is the correct answer, and indeed it is with this one. Our last one, we're going to multiply by 7, so that will give us u squared plus 15u plus 14. Two numbers that times to make 14 and add to make 15. Luckily that's 14 and 1. So yeah, we've not finished yet. We're now going to divide by the number we started with, so divide by 7. 14 over 7 is 2, and 1 over 7 doesn't simplify, so glide the 7 to the front, and then we're finished. So just a quick reminder of the two different methods that we looked at. For this quiz, we did our regular factoring, where we have a plus at the end, and also we had a negative at the end, and the leading coefficients are all 1. And the second part of the quiz is going to be your slide and glide method.